Good day, ma'am and mates. I am Cadet Estrada, and this is the report of Group 1 from the topic of the Chapter 2, Human Behavior and Coping or Defense Mechanisms. So first, I will be discussing the segment 1, which is the emotion. So emotion refers to feelings, affective responses as a result of physiological arousal, thoughts and beliefs, subjective evaluation, and bodily expression. It is a state characterized by facial expressions, gestures, postures, and subjective feelings. Emotion is associated with mood, temperament, personality, and disposition. So, it is a result of physiological arousal, so means from the word physical means nagrefer siya sa atong body, so mo siya physical feelings na na-interpret nato ang kaning emotion. Then in psychology, arousal can be best explained as one's overall level of alertness, attention or energy level. So examples of emotion is like anang feelings such as happiness, love, fear, hatred or kanang masuko ta, anger. Mao na siya ang kanang examples sa emotions, the feelings which can be caused by the situation that you are in or the people you are with. And the English word emotion is derived from the French word émouvoir. This is based on the Latin émouvere, which E means out and mover means move. So the related term motivation is also derived from mover. So mo to siya ang kanang Latin word sa émouvoir. So let's move on to the theories of emotion. Number 1 is from James Lang theory by William James and Carl Lang. So James Lang theory states that emotion results from physiological states triggered by stimuli in the environment. Emotion occurs after physiological reactions. So kaning theory ni James Lang was one of the earliest theories of emotion, and it's recognized that there was a link between emotional stimulus, physical reactions, and emotions. This theory and its derivatives states that a changed situation leads to a changed bodily state. As James says the perception of bodily changes as they occur is the emotion. So kining theory ni James Lang notes nga a physical reaction comes first, then ang interpretation of that reaction leads to emotion. James further claims that we feel sad because we cry, angry because we strike, afraid because we tremble, and neither have we cried, strike, nor tremble because we are sorry, angry, or fearful, as the case may be. So the James Lang theory has now been all but abandoned by most scholars. So example aning James Lang theory is when a person receives shocking news and they start crying uncontrollably. So they interpret their crying as sadness and feel sad. Mo na siya murag kuan ang una ba kanang giingon ni James diri na physical reaction comes first, then interpretation of that reaction na dayon ang mag-leads to emotion. Then another example is kanang makatagbo ka og ghost sa dalan, di ba, makulbaan man ka and imong heartbeat is mukusog, then sington ka sa kakulba or mangurog ka. So unsa may interpretation ani nga mga physical, di ba, this is interprets as kanang fright or frightened or nahadlok hinana. So mo to siya ang theory of James Lang.
So I'm the one who report the Cannon-Board theory by Philip Board and Walter Cannon. This suggests that people feel emotions first and then act upon them. It is a theory that emotions and physiological reactions occurs simultaneously. This action includes changes in muscular tension, perspiration, and etc. The theory was formulated following an introduction of the James Lynch theory of emotions in the late 80s, which alternately suggested that emotion is result of one perception of their reaction or body changes. So here's the example. I see a man outside my window. I'm afraid, and I begin to perspire. So that canon bad theory of emotions is based on the premise that one reacts to specific stimulus and experiences corresponding emotions simultaneously. Canon and Bird posit that one is able to react simultaneously only after experience the related emotions and experience. Here's another example of canon bird theory. Example ako, nakakatawa galas, then na-experience ko physiological arousal. So, akong heart rate is nag-increase, so akong mouth is nag-dry. Ay, tungod na kaya nakakatawa galas. So, yung dire is the individual emotional response of fear under physiological arousal and occurring stimulously independent of one another. So here's another example. There's another explanation. The current bird theory of emotion purposes the physiological arousal and the experience of emotion occur simultaneously rather than emotion being result of physiological arousal. Therefore, ang emotion o ang physiological arousal is kita sila nga separate and independent. The two-factor theory by Singer. According to Scott and Singer, theory of emotion developed in 1962. There are two key components of emotion. First is the physical arousal and the second is the cognitive label. In other words, the experience of emotions involves first having some kind physiological response which mind then identifies. So, example is a man was walking into the river. Then the bear was looking at him. So stimulus caused physical around. So after the man was noticed that the bear was looking at him, he cognitively labeled physical response and associate it with an emotion. So after he noticed, he ran. So that's why we feel the emotion, because he's getting fear.
I'm Cadet Rinald Mara, and my topic is about segment number 2, conflict types of conflict number 1 and 2 only, psychological and social conflict. So, psychological conflict is a conflict between a person who struggles with themselves, their conscience, their feelings, or their guilt, or is just trying to decide what to do. A character is a person who has a role in his story. It is a state of tension brought by the presence in individual of two or more opposing desires. So personal or psychological conflict refers to a situation in which a person is motivated to engage in two or more mutually exclusive or incompatible activities. So it occurs when the verbal overt verbal or symbolic or emotional responses required to fulfill one motive are incompatible with those required. So example, a man may dislike his job intensely but fear the threat or unemployment if he quits. So, social conflict is the struggle for agency or power in society. Social conflict or group conflict occurs when two or more actors oppose each other in social interaction. So, reciprocally exerting social power in an effort to attain scarce or incompatible goals and prevent the opponent from attaining them. So, it is a social relationship wherein the action is oriented intentionally for carrying out the actor's own will against the resistance of the other parties. So there are specific issues that can be used when creating a man versus society conflict. No? Racism, segregation, religious beliefs, and environmental issues, being wrongly accused of something and being ousted from society are all examples of how someone can come into conflict with his or her community. So one against many is also a good way to look at it.
Good day, ma'am and sir. Mates, I'm Kadit Pabay. So these are the continuation of our topic, the types of conflict. So number 3. Number 3, approach avoidance. Conflict can be described as having features of approach and avoidance. Approach, avoidance. Approach speak to things that we want, while avoidance refers to the things that we do not want. So ang approach kanang things nga atong gusto, while ang avoidance is dili nato gusto. So there are kinds of approach avoidance. Letter E. Approach conflict. In approach conflict, the individual must be chosen between two positive goals of approximately equal values. So ang approach conflict is ang individual mamili og two positive goals. In these two pleasing things are wanted, but only one option should be chosen. So naay duha ka butang nga makapahimuot, but only isa ra ang option sa pagpili. Example, choose between two colleagues, two roommates, or two ways of spending the summer. So letter B. Avoidance conflict. Avoidance conflict involves more obvious source of stress. The individual must be choose between two or more negative outcomes. So ang individual mamili between two or more negative outcomes. So mga negatibong resulta. Example, study or do the dishes. I don't want this and I don't want that. A woman with unwanted pregnancy may be morally opposed by abortion. So ang usa ka babae dili ganahan maburos may be morally opposed by abortion. Musupak siya sa abortion or pagkuan sa paglaglag sa anak.
C. Approach avoidance conflict. Approach avoidance conflict exists when there is an unattractive part both sides. It arises when obtaining a positive goal necessitates a negative outcome as well. Example, Gina is beautiful but she is lazy. So kaning approachable avoidance conflict, ang positive goal niya ni Gina is beautiful, ug ang iyang negative outcome like but she is lazy. D. Multiple approach avoidance conflict. This refers to conflict with complex combination of approach and avoidance conflict. It requires individual to choose between alternatives that contain both side positive and negative consequence. Example, a woman wants to marry. She knows she is happy and safe with the one she is going to marry. So mo niyang positive consequence. But at the same time is losing a good job as she cannot travel to another city. Mo ni siya iyang negative consequence. Functional versus dysfunctional conflict. A. Dysfunctional conflict. There is a dysfunctional conflict if conflict disrupt, hinder jobs performance, and upset personal psychological functioning. Example, employees who refuse to work together on a project even when she asked by management. Dysfunctional conflict focus on emotion and difference between the two parties and can degenerate to the extent that the parties forget the substantive issue and focus on getting even, retaliating, or even hurting the other party. B. Functional conflict. There is functional conflict if conflict is responsive and innovative, aiding in creativity and viability. Example, an organization that divides its employees into teams and offers incentives to the team that can come up with the best innovative idea for a new product. Functional conflicts involves productive disagreement where the end goal is improvement within an organization team. That's all. Thank you.